Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. Welcome to a special bonus episode. We're joined by my boy Jerry. We're going to be previewing the college basketball national championship between Florida and Houston. I haven't been watching. Jerry's been watching, so we had to bring him on. He's going to give his knowledge on both teams. But yeah, Jerry, bro, welcome back to the podcast, man. It's been a while, but we're happy to have you back, man.
Nah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me back on.
Nah, for sure, bro. Nah, it's always fun to have you on. But yeah, guys, like I said, we're gonna be getting Jerry's takes today on on tonight's national championship game between the Gators and the Cougars. But yeah, so first off, like congratulations. Obviously, to both schools, both teams. Obviously, just honestly, just getting the Final Four itself is almost impossible when you really think about it. So that alone was a huge accomplishment. But then the fact now that the final two teams compete to be the champions, it's just like incredible. So like just that alone, like congrats to them on having the chance to compete for the championship. But yeah, so now we're gonna get into Jerry's thoughts. I want to start off with the Gators here. So yeah, another unique thing. These are both number one seeds, which we really don't see in the tournament. I was telling Jerry earlier, the last time that the Final Four had all number one seeds was 2008. So it's pretty crazy and eye opening. I don't know that they actually got it right this year, and all these top seeded teams that are there at the end. But yeah, so to start off with the Gators, bro, what would you say are some of the things you've seen them do that has led them to this moment of being part of the championship game?
Honestly, I would say is the tempo at which they play. They play at like one of like the fastest pace that you kind of see like in college basketball. They're basically they are one of these run and gun teams. They play really fast. They're led by Walter Clayton Jr., who's been having a hell of a run this year. But he's really not the only guy on the team. You've got Elijah Martin. You've got Will Richard. You have exceptional guard play. I think that's the strength of their team. Their scoring from their guard position is probably where they are gonna thrive the most, and where you're gonna have where Houston would probably struggle a little bit more to contain. But it's not really just their guard play. I think their bigs are also really good. You have Thomas Hogg, you have Alex Condon, really good big men. Hogg can be kind of kind of like one of those bigs who can kind of shoot, but also he can score at times. He's not going to be a big time scorer. You probably not going to get like 20, 25 from him, but you might get a solid 12 to 15 from him. He's really, really solid. You know, I was actually thinking like if Duke would have gotten to the finals, I thought he would have been the guy you put on Cooper Flag, but
Oh, wow.
since
Okay.
they're not really, but since they're not there, you don't really have to worry about that. But they also have starting center Ruben Chinyelu. He's been kind of struggling here and there, but last game he really picked it up. He grabbed like 9 rebounds last game. Really, really, really solid. You're not really gonna get a lot of scoring from him, but you will get a hard nosed guy, which is what you're gonna need in order to beat Houston. But he's not really the only hard nosed guy on that team. You have Alex Condon, who the other day, well, I already mentioned his name, but the other day he got an injury, I think on his ankle, and it looked like he wasn't able to come back, but he was able to play through it, like kind of at the end, and he did make a bunch of hustle plays. He dove on the ground for a couple of loose balls, and then another hard nosed guy. I would say is Will Richard. Definitely a guy who he's a. It's funny, Rob. He kind of is like one of those heat culture kind of guys where he's just like super hard nosed. He's gonna cut to the rim. He can still dribble the ball, so there's that too. And he's always just like a feisty guy. He'll come from the other side of the court and he'll double team like the opposing team's big man,
I
and
love
he's
that.
just like, yeah, no, he's definitely one of those. So and he's got great hands, so he's definitely gonna get a few steals here and there. yeah, uh, what one and against this Houston team who's like very good defensively and very hard nosed, very and plays at a slow pace, you're gonna need guys like that to kind of like scrap it out. And who's another thing? Oh, and I think since they've already played Auburn, who plays at that slow pace as well, uh, I think um I think they're gonna be somewhat prepared to play for this against this Houston team, but um, we're gonna have to see what happens.
Not for sure. So yeah, obviously you brought up like a couple of names there. Like Richards guy, I'm gonna watch tomorrow and have my eye on him. 'Cause if I hear he coach type of guy, I gotta watch him. Those are my favorite type of players, you know.
Yeah,
Well, and Walter Clayton Jr. though is obviously like I guess you call it the talk of the town right now. All of college basketball and the NBA draft, and a bunch of NBA fans are going crazy, you know, for their teams that draft him. What would you say? I don't know if it's like one thing specifically, or if there are like a couple main traits that he has within his game that you think make him such a like great player.
I think it's his shot making ability. He's a really good 3 point shooter. He's really good off the dribble. There's shots that he takes where I'm like, okay, why are you taking that? And then he'll just make them.
Oh wow,
He
okay,
has this he has this one move where he's like on the right side of the court, and he'll take like a sidestep, and then he'll just fade, and
damn.
and he just makes it every time, and you're just thinking, why are you taking that shot? And then you're just like, wow, you're just amazed.
Okay, so he's one of
He's
those
able to
great,
get to
great shooters, eh? Like
yeah, yeah, he's a really good shooter.
okay,
And he's also able to finish as well.
okay,
He's really clutch too.
oh
He's
damn,
made like I think not this game, not this last game. Actually, I mean this last game he sealed it with two free throws.
okay,
But the Texas Tech game, I want to say I don't know if it was the Connecticut game, but I definitely know it was the Texas Tech game where he just hit a huge three at the end
damn.
to put Florida on top. And if it wasn't for that three, they definitely wouldn't be here by now. And Texas Tech was a really good team.
I love something you mentioned about him because obviously we always see these star players, big time players, but to
Yeah,
me, even if you're a star player, I gotta something I always look for is a clutch ability, and the fact that he said that he's clutch to me that raises that should raise him in comparison to other stars around college basketball, because like I said, although people you're a star, that doesn't mean that you're gonna come up in the clutch just because you're the most talented guy. So that speaks
right.
volumes to me. I love that.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Because like he's clutch, and he's just like I don't know. He just comes up big, and it's not even against like small teams or just like oh okay, it's a regular team. You're going up against like really tough opponents. I mean, UConn was like they were the two-time national championship
Yeah,
champions, and then
back to
he
back
just like
again.
yeah, it was Maryland that they had this other prospect, and I think you're gonna like him too.
Oh,
JT Toppin, that's the guy.
okay, never mind. Sorry, I was gonna say it sounds familiar. It sounds like Obi topic.
Bro, I thought he was his cousin at first.
Okay, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
you said topping. I was like, yo, that sounds familiar.
And it was the Maryland game. He also played very well in that one.
Okay,
I think it was the Yukon was the first one I saw. I think he came in clutch in that one too.
got you. I've
I'm
heard
just
like, I haven't watched, but I heard most of their games have been like down to the wire. Right?
yeah,
Florida.
yeah,
Okay.
no, they've had to play like in tough games like
Okay.
these last couple of games. I think Maryland was the only one where it didn't go down to the wire, but it
Okay.
was still close for most of the game.
Got you. Got
Yeah.
you, man. But yeah, if you want to move on now, like you talked about Houston a little bit, but what are some of the things like now to ask you about Houston? You know, what are some of the things that stand out to you about Houston and why they're in the position they're in right now? You know,
Yeah, right now I think Houston is in a really well. Obviously, they're in a really good position,
like
but I think they're a team that could probably that could definitely match up well with this Florida team. Obviously you have this fast paced run and gun type of offense, but then you have this defense from Houston that's like just slug it out, just kill offenses, just like make you play ugly, really defensive games. Against Duke, they really slowed down their offense. They weren't able to stop Cooper Flag, but they were able to stop they were able to slow down two of their other star players in
Oh,
Tyrese Proctor and Con Knippel, who are Khan being one of the top prospects in the NBA. Tyrese Proctor being a guy I really like. Maybe he's not going to be a first round pick. Maybe not a day one, but he might be one of those guys who can kind of like come out of nowhere and
okay,
kind of just like make a name for himself somewhere.
gotcha.
Uh, they were able to stop. They were really able to stop Proctor, who's really been good. And then Canupo, he had a big first half, but then at the second half he just like kind of fell off. And at the end of the game, Duke was like they had like one field goal in 10 minutes.
Wow, bro. So they had
So
like
it was
good
like
defense, like Houston.
defense is ridiculous. That's like their offense wasn't even playing that well. It was just like they just they just stifle teams. They just kill your offense, and it's just like they make you play that ugly. It again like that kind of that Heat style. They make you play. They make you play to their level,
I was gonna
which
say,
is
sorry,
which is
you saying that right now, sorry, like pumps me up because that's what I prefer. I know like most Heat, whatever Heat fans. Oh, okay, yeah, we play good defense, but we can't score. This is boring to watch. As like me, I'm like old school, bro. I like that grinded out elite defense and whatever. Have an average offense, but like you describing Houston right now, like bro, that sounds like my type of team that I would want to like let root for or watch. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, I think you're gonna really like this Houston team,
Okay,
and they still have a few good offensive players. I would, but just like that Heat team, I do think they do have some good offensive players. You have LJ Cryer who went off last game. You have Uzman. You have uh, what was his name? Jawan Roberts, and there was another guy, Sharp, Emmanuel Sharp. Okay, Emmanuel Sharp played really good at the end, but at the beginning he kind of struggled. Uzman was like kind of different. He kind of struggled. He kind of started off well, and then kind of like midway through the first half, he kind of like fell off. LJ Cryer, I would say, is the only guy who like consistently, who was consistently scoring for them. He was the only one who was like really providing offense. And then at the end, Emmanuel Sharp kind of like helped them out, or not helped them out. He also picked up the scoring load. I do worry about Houston's offense because it was LJ Cryer for most of the game, and I think at one point in the second half that he had most of their points. Like he had half of their points. So I do think these other guys are gonna have to contribute a little bit more, especially against this Florida team who has this really good offense, and who can also compete with them on the defensive side of the floor. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Houston team plays, how they adjust, especially offensively. Because defensively, we know what they're going to do. They're the number one defense in the country. They just stopped the number one offense in the country. 10 minutes of only one field goal. And unlike this Duke team, this Houston team is full of seniors. Instead of having a bunch of freshmen on the team, you have experience.
that's big.
But but you can say the same thing about that Florida team. So it's not gonna be just like, oh, okay, you have 18, 19-year-old kids, or well, I mean, all these guys are kids, but like you're not gonna have 18, 19-year-old players, two of them who should be seniors in high school in Kaman Maluak and Cooper Flag.
Okay,
So you know, you don't there's not a lot of like big game experience between in that team, or from their best players. The rest of the roster did have a lot of experience, but they were kind of like, but that was just like but those were like the role players. Their best players didn't really have too much experience. But But Florida does have a lot of experience. When you look at Walter Clayton, the senior, Elijah Martin, a senior, also has experience in the Final Four when he played with Florida Atlantic University
Oh wow.
just two
Okay.
years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he transferred this year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
huge. Experience obviously is huge. You know.
yeah, definitely. Especially in these types of tournaments, it's great to see to see freshmen like this Duke team full of freshmen just like go far because I don't think we don't often see like this freshman teams go like this far.
Honestly, we really don't. And
Yeah,
it's funny because usually like Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina. I get it. They have amazing histories, but they're usually the ones right that end up with these one and duns, and then it's like, all right, cool. Like you guys had this like superstar, but like, I mean, did you win anything? So yeah, it's crazy how that works. But you're right. Most of the time, it's like veteran teams or teams that like the main guys are like they've been in college for a while already. So yeah,
right. Yeah,
and I
and
love that because I'm old school. I'm sorry, I prefer that. Like I prefer like I remember hearing the stories of like oh yeah Michael Jordan like all these legends played in college for years. They weren't like oh yeah hey one and done and I don't know man. A lot of things in sports like I'm not saying this to like I'm not trying to like hate on any guy that comes out bro you're able to come out you're gonna be a first round pick like bro good for you obviously I'm not like against it but like just in sports man a lot of times I'm just like old school with these things I don't know but
yeah, and to be honest, like uh, I get you, bro, and like, but that's the thing. You need experience. You need to know. You need to be in you need to know what pressure is like to know how to win. Because like back then, like you had like you said, you had Michael Jordan. He wasn't a one and done. Kareem wasn't a one and done. I think Magic was a one and done. I don't think Larry Bird was though.
incredible like
Uh,
some of the literally some of the all time freaking greats like at the top of the list and
yeah,
like they all played multiple years man I wish like I said, I don't blame guys for leaving. You're
yeah,
gonna, have that opportunity, obviously. But man, I feel like there's way more examples of one and duns who end up like getting out of the league within 3 to 4 years, rather than like I feel there's like only maybe a handful that actually like have like long careers. If that makes sense.
yeah. I get you.
It's I don't know. It's tricky, but like I said, I understand that. I'm not against the players, obviously. Like I
No,
wish them all the best, and I hope they do great. But I, yeah, I'm just old school. I feel a lot of things in sports nowadays, like I don't know, new trends or new ways that players are treated, new rules. It's like,
yeah.
man, sometimes like, why, man? Why are you guys changing the game? But yeah, sorry. Now I'm backtrack. I'm like, it's like another conversation. But yeah, sorry.
I get you, bro. I get you. And actually, funny you bring up Michael Jordan. He actually wasn't the best player on his team in North Carolina. It was James Worthy.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah,
So they're my. That's insane to think about. They played together on the same college team. Wow.
they did.
Two
That's
Hall of Famers, two champions, two like all
yeah,
time greats. Wow.
bro, for real. And then UCLA was like another team that back in the days they would pump out a lot of like prospects, but they would be like 3 or 4 years in
Okay, yeah.
college. I know
Yeah.
like Kareem was there a couple years, Bill Walton was there a couple years. I think Clay Thompson's dad was there a couple years.
Okay.
His name
Okay.
Michael Thompson. I think he was there a few years.
Got you.
But yeah, no, it helps. When it comes to like these tournaments, obviously like experience is key. Because I these one and duns are nice and good, and they're probably going to be more valuable draft assets than like these seniors.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different dynamic. That's draft. That's the draft versus the NCAA tournament, and I feel like a lot of people just like well, I feel like it's just a common misconception that like, okay, you're gonna have this draft prospect leading X, Y, and Z school,
Mhm.
and and they're gonna win because they have this guy. Well, he's a 19-year-old. You got to give him a chance. It's tough. It's tough for him.
Thank you. No, but thank you for saying that too, because yeah, people also don't give these young guys enough like patience, or they don't put themselves in their perspectives, man. Like you said, 19 years old, and oh yeah, you gotta be freaking the best player in the world. You know,
Yeah.
it's like yeah, it's unbelievable. Like some
It's,
people,
it's
like the expectations they put out. You know.
yeah, and I feel like especially nowadays with college basketball giving these players an extra year
Yeah.
or an extra year or two or something
Yeah,
like
it's like,
that.
yeah. Some of these
Yeah.
guys are like 5 or 6 years now. You know.
Yeah, no, some of these guys are like what, 23, 24.
Yeah.
Like that's like you're about to enter your prime and you're still in college, so like for a
Yeah.
19-year-old to kind of go up against one of these guys, that's a 5-year gap in experience.
Literally.
Sure, you might be better on the NBA level,
Yeah.
but that's with like NBA training, and that's a whole different level. Like that's a whole different story.
For sure. Nah, it's a
It's
great
like
point you bring up. Like the tournament's completely different than the freaking NBA draft. Like, yeah, I don't think people understand that either. You know.
yeah,
And
I didn't understand that either.
no, I don't blame you, but like I feel like within recent time, college has become a different game. Also because now the whole NIL stuff, and then now guys are allowed to go like Lamelo Ball. Let's say like you went overseas and you're allowed to play somewhere else. So now it's just like a whole different. I just feel college is so different now, and it's not necessarily like that same pipeline that it was for many years. Obviously, it's still the main friggin' pipeline where all these NBA guys come out of. But I don't know if that made sense. Like, it's not the same thing that it was for many years, where it was like, okay, this guy played for 3 or 4 years. He was a star here, man. He won so many games. And now it's like, oh yeah, freshman. He was in high school a year ago. Oh no, this guy he's not gonna go to college. He's gonna go to Australia. Oh yeah, this guy he's in he's in his fourth year. He's been on 5 different teams. So then it's just like all of it is all like I don't even know. I don't know if that makes sense. You get me? Like it's just like
Yeah, I feel you.
how many changes, man. But that's something I want to bring up really quick because you brought up something cool that I like about Houston, how they game planned against Duke and how they're able to shut down, two of the main three guys on the team. No, I want to shout out Kelvin Sampson because he's been their head coach for a long time. Houston's been like one of the most consistent like teams in all of college basketball. Like they haven't won that championship with them, which obviously a lot of great coaches never won a championship. So I mean, what the heck? It's hard. But I want to give him his flowers because man, Houston's consistent. I think of a couple years ago with Miami, we knocked them out. The year we made it to the Final Four, and they're a number one seed. I remember Marcus Sasser. I want to say it was like their lead. He was like a point guard. They had a couple veterans. Like they're a veteran team, but Kelvin Sampson's been the coach man for a long time there. So it sounds like he's doing a great job, right? Like his game plan.
Yeah, yeah, I would say he did a really good job, and it looks like the guys really loved him. I think
Oh,
after the interview, they were all like next to him. But I feel like that's kind of like the vibe in college. Like you still get that. Like I know you said that there was like a lot of change, but I still feel like that love and like that kind of like that brotherhood is still kind of there. So I feel like that's one thing that's still there, and the crowd. The crowd's always good.
that's
But
true.
getting back to Calvin Sampson,
I
I
agree.
think
Yeah.
he's a really good coach. To bring him this far, and just to like, yeah, just to bring him this far is already good enough. When the expectations may or may not have been there,
Yeah.
and you don't have like too many like big time names, maybe draft prospects. You're more of like a defensive team.
Okay.
So for them to make it this far, it's really nice. And then obviously they're gonna have the chance to compete for the first national championship in school history. I think it was.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Now I want to bring up something. Yeah, you mentioned brotherhood, and that's amazing to hear. That it looks like a true brotherhood because obviously this is about Houston and Florida, but obviously I gotta bring up UM. Like I mentioned them right in the Final Four a couple years ago. All those years with Larry Nega throughout his whole tenure. Obviously, he just retired now, which honestly I still haven't like fully processed, man. Because he was unbelievable what he did here. But all those teams that whether it was the Shane Larkin teams, and Angel Rodriguez teams, and obviously the two greatest teams are the most recent, right? Elite Eight and then Final Four. Like we could always tell, man, that it was like a family, in all those locker rooms. And I feel that's such a key component. And no, it's amazing to hear that, you said Houston has that. And I feel that's something that it goes beyond, the court, or it goes beyond the game of basketball itself. That's not something that's measured in stats, but to me, it's a huge factor on in terms of like how far a team could go if you really have a true like family dynamic, a true brotherhood in that locker room. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, bro.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. They kind of remind me of like that OKC team of
Oh,
OKC this year. Like you see like that whole like brotherhood. You see that whole like it looks like they really love each other, kind of
and
thing.
really, and they're so damn young. It kind of looks like a college team, like
Yeah, they do.
and even like I love, yeah, like their interviews. Like one guy will be interviewed, and then it's like the whole team gets behind him, and they're all like playing around and stuff. You're right. Okay, see, yeah, they have a great vibe, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's basically the same thing. Like
They're probably younger than like most college teams, right? Like combined, I wouldn't be surprised. And they have like 35 first round picks in the next 3 years, so they're gonna have like a bunch of high school guys, and sorry, I had to make some jokes because it's hilarious to think about, like how damn young like the Thunder are and how great they've been doing.
yeah, bro. It's nice. It's definitely nice to see.
Yeah, bro. But now I want to ask you, bro. So yeah, to get back to Florida and Houston, what are a couple key things you're looking at for both teams that you think will lead them to victory? Like key components, or key things you think they should focus on in order to like stop the other team and try to win the game.
Okay, so for Florida, I'm guessing I would say their key component would be to hold LJ Collier to about at least under 15 or 20 points. If you can hold them to 12 to 15, I think you shut down Houston's offense. And I don't think they're going to get much scoring outside of him. Now, you Emmanuel Sharp came up big last game. So maybe he can come in and uh, and kind of bring in that scoring surge that they can use. But I still think Collier is their. I said LJ Collier. His name is LJ Cryer. I knew I was gonna mess up his name.
Nah, you're good, man. You're good. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so the LJ Cryer was like I think he was LJ Collier was the Seahawks D end, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's why it sounded familiar. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Every
okay.
time you will say Collier, I'm like, man, that sounds so familiar. Like that last name. So yeah, that's
No,
hilarious. Nah, mate, bro. I thought maybe he transferred. Like he's like, oh man, I could get paid in college. Let me go back. I'm
bro.
gonna go. He's like, I'm gonna go get my master's and play basketball and get paid.
Hey, why not?
Sorry, I'm glad some fun jokes on here. I like it. It's not just straight basketball talk.
Bro, for real. Okay. Okay, so his name was LJ Cryer, not LJ Collier.
Okay.
Okay, no, but they're definitely gonna have to stop LJ Cryer
Okay.
from going off because like if they can do that, I think they can shut down their offense, and I think Florida can play that slug it and thug it kind of defense.
Okay.
I don't think they're as built as Houston are to play that style, but I think they can play it enough that if they can I think that if they can play it in well enough and then stop their offense and then continue to play that maybe not as fast of tempo as they're used to, I do think they're going to have to adjust and play a little bit slower.
Gotcha.
But that's the funny thing about Florida. When Auburn forced them to play that slower style and then just kind of like slow it down in the first half, they just came out like just guns blazing, just like
Wow.
boom, 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 three, 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 and then just like
Yeah.
fast paced. Just like it felt like when they had to slow down or like when they were forced to slow down, they just played even faster.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's kind of fun to see. It was fun to see, but
I
but
love those
it's
stories of teams that are like resilient.
yeah, no, this team is the definition of resilient.
That's huge.
And
That's
then
a huge factor for me. Like
yeah,
how far teams go, bro. You have to be resilient.
yeah, have to be. And and both of these teams are 100% are 100% that.
I love to hear that, honestly.
And now for Houston, the key component for them would also be to hold Walter Clayton, would be to hold Walter Clayton and then just continue to play that stifling defense. You have to get back on like after you score, you have to get back on defense because Florida plays at such a fast pace
Yeah,
that once you score, you have to run back because if not, they're looking to push the
like
break,
passing. Like, okay,
get down the court, you know, hit a three, get an easy bucket. They're just a super intense team, so you're gonna have to be intense too. Can they play that style? Can they get back? I think they could. I do think they're built for it. And they're. I think I mentioned they have to stop Walter Clayton. You're
mhm.
gonna have to hold him to at least 20, at least 20, 15 to 20. Maybe he'll still have a big game, but you're gonna have to hold him. You're gonna have to hold him, and you're also gonna have to force Florida to commit a lot of turnovers because you're gonna have to continue. You're gonna have to do that because Florida is a team that will commit a lot of turnovers,
Oh, okay.
and I do think that is one of their weaknesses, and I do think this team can force them to do it, and they're also gonna have to push the break because like one thing that Auburn didn't do that I think uh, that Houston should do is
Mhm.
they have to be able to adjust. Okay, you were able to slow it down. You're able to slow them down. Okay, so now that we have them slowing down, now we have to speed up, and we're gonna have to push the brake ourselves. You know, that's gonna be another key component is can they adjust throughout the game? Will
Gotcha.
they speed? Will they be able to speed up? So you have two opposite styles kind of going at it with each other.
I,
One is super fast and another is super slow, and both good enough at their weaknesses that they can make it a tough game.
sounds like sounds like the perfect like advertisement. You know,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Something you brought up that to me, like in college and NBA, to me that makes a huge difference. You brought up like a point there, like fast break points, man, can literally change the outcome of a game. If you're able to create, you're able to get a lot of turnovers, and to easy buckets, easy layups, open shots, and bro. So honestly, the way you describe both teams, man, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy watching both of these teams, man. Because
E.
honestly, like I can't wait to watch. They sound like two freaking like awesome teams to check out.
Nah, definitely. I think you're definitely gonna love to watch these guys. And it's great because like one thing I didn't really know about college until just now, actually, I know, is that every since there's not as much scoring as in the NBA, every
Mhm.
bucket counts. Every bucket matters. So every time you see someone hit a three or someone even a mid range jumper, the crowd is going insane, and it's like it doesn't really have anything to do with this game specifically. It's just like college in general. It's nice. That's not something I expected to see so much, and it's a dynamic that I kind of like a lot.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wish it was like that in NBA because literally, bro, like you score a layup, you said like a mid range, whatever it may be, and literally it sounds like you just like hit the buzzer beater to win the championship. Like those fans are incredible for every school, honestly, and especially in March Madness, man. The support and you hear from TV. So imagine, like, bro, yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad you brought it up because you're shouting out the fans too, and Nah, I hope all these fans look. And speaking of fans, we gotta shout out our boy Paul. We bring him out here to talk college football. Obviously, he's like the ultimate Gator. So, like I said earlier, I haven't been watching, but I've been rooting for the Gators because for Paul and his family and Steven, his brother, because they're like the ultimate Gators. So I'm just super happy for them that their team has the chance to be the champions of college basketball. So yeah, it's funny. 'Cause I meant to bring up Paul earlier, but yeah, shout out to Paul again, our college football guy, and yeah, man, it's I'm happy for all the fans for both schools. It's like what a moment it's gonna be watching, to be able to watch your team compete for a championship, man. It's my gosh, there's nothing like it in sports, like in my opinion.
Nah, definitely, and it'll be the first time Florida wins a national championship since like the mid 2000s when they
Yeah,
had Billy Donovan.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, like early. Yeah, they had a couple of championships there, early 2000s. With UD, the goat, with
Yeah.
Joakim Noah. Yeah, Billy Donovan coaching those teams, bro. He's a like a college basketball legend for me, Billy Donovan. So yeah, ever since then,
Hall of Famer too.
you saw he just got inducted, man.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, congrats to him. And not speaking of that, yeah, congrats to Mickey Harrison. The best owner in all of sports for me. Like, without Mickey Harrison, man. Yep, he's the one that he became the owner. First thing he did, bring in Pat Riley, and the rest is history, man. It's 1995, man. But yeah, congrats to obviously all the guys who made it. I know Carmelo made it, Dwight Howard, which is freaking awesome to see because those are two of the main guys we grew up watching, and now they're gonna be in the Hall of Fame, man. And I've always loved Carmelo. Like I always wanted him on the Heat, but also Dwight Howard, man. You think of him, and honestly, he's gone through so much in his career, man. He had like such an interesting career. I didn't really like him for the majority of the career, and then man, I'm so glad towards the end. I like kind of had more of an open mind, and I was able to appreciate him, man. Because if you really see this guy's like personality and the type of person he is, he seems like a friggin' great guy. So I'm super happy for him that that he's in the Hall of Fame too. So I know I went off a little bit there, but man, it is amazing. Shout out to all these guys that made it in.
For real. These are all the guys that we kind of like grew up watching, so it's kind of nice to see them make it to the Hall of Fame.
For sure, man.
Hmm.
It's so cool. But yeah, man, I don't know. Now you want to get into your predictions? I know it's gonna be hard. Like I remember we did a Super Bowl preview, bro, and it was hard to do the predictions, but yeah, bro, you ready?
All right, hold on.
If you want,
So okay, so last time I went against my gut and I picked Kansas City because I thought okay because I believed in Mahomes, I believed in them, and I went with who I wanted to win, not really with who I thought should have won. That was a mistake. I won't make that mistake this time. I want Florida to win so bad, but I'm not sure if they can compete with the. But I'm not sure. I mean, yes, they can compete with this team, but I don't know if they can beat Houston. If they're gonna beat Houston, actually, no. I'm gonna go with Florida. No, I'm gonna go with Florida. I don't think Houston's offense is gonna score enough points. I think Florida's defense is good enough.
all right. So you got the Gators, man.
I'll go with Florida.
Let's go. No, Paul's gonna be happy, man, listening to this, and you know,
I literally changed my mind mid mid take. I was like,
I love that though. It speaks
no,
volumes.
no, yeah,
You just went with your gut.
yeah.
Like that's huge. So yeah, you got the Gators, man. And now speaking of that, obviously we're not a betting podcast, but just to throw it out there, people in the state of Florida, we have the Hard Rock bet app, and right now the Gators are favorite by 1.5, so it's hardly anything. They're minus 125, and if you want to put a bet on Houston, they're plus 105. So if they win, you will make like some sort of money. But yeah, man, what a line too. I think that speaks volumes too. When Vegas has such a close line like that in a championship game, man, and it makes sense after everything you described about both teams. Like they seem like two freaking great teams, man. So it makes sense that it's most likely going to be like a close game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. I I swear I was going with Houston most of the time. I was thinking, yeah, I think this defense is gonna be too stifling. It's gonna be too good. But then I went back and forth. I'm like, I'm not too sure if this. I think Florida's defense is good enough to stop their offense, and then I think I don't know. I just kept going back and forth and just like. But then like last minute, I'm like, you know what? I think Florida is well rounded enough to beat Houston. And I feel so much better after saying all that about Florida.
Let's
So
go. Let's go.
Bring it home. Bring it back home to the state.
Let's go. Let's go, man. Nah, I'll be freaking amazing. I'll be super happy for all of them, and for like I said, for Paul and his family, and
Yeah.
nah, yeah. So that's awesome. You're going with the Gators, bro, and yeah, guys, just in case you don't know, the game will be at 8:50 p.m. Eastern time tonight. It's gonna be on CBS and on Paramount Plus as well. And yeah, man. I mean, like I said, yeah. Honestly, this is gonna be the first game because I've only watched in total maybe, bro, 3 minutes of the whole tournament. So this is gonna be the first full game that I get to watch. And what better game, than the championship game? I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be exciting. I'm already nervous for it, but we're going. But we're gonna have to see.
Honestly, that to me, having nerves and stuff like speaks to how like passionate you are about it. So I love to hear that. Honestly,
E
I love
bro.
that. But yeah,
E.
man, done a great job too. Like especially like I said, I haven't watched a game at all. So, but now literally everything you described, right, about both teams, now I know what to expect and what their styles are, what they do best, what they do worse, and no, so I think people listening like really you're gonna take in this knowledge because I'm sure there's many people who haven't watched every game or who haven't kept up with everything. So this could be a quick like breakdown. So like so you're not like completely like blind to what you're gonna watch. Like you don't even know what the hell's gonna happen. The styles of these teams. So yeah, man. Not thank you again for like coming on with us because yeah, bro, it's a big help in general because you gave a lot of good like information.
Nah, for sure. Nah, definitely. This is definitely like one of those games where it's like this is definitely if you haven't watched a game yet, this is definitely the perfect game to start watching. This is the first. This is the perfect final for you to watch.
Let's go. Nah, I love it. I love it. Any like final thoughts, bro? You want to put up?
Um, I already, I know like it's easy. The two players to watch out for sure, are for me are gonna be Crier and then Walter Clayton.
Okay.
So if you love offense, if you love shooting, definitely.
And remind me again, who was the other Gator guy that you said is like a heat culture type of guy?
Will Richard.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to watch him fucking dive on the court, draw like three offensive foul, three charges, and be ready for the heat. Nah, bro. Yeah, you know how I am, man. When I hear a guy described like that, I'm like, oh my, like I wish my whole team was just like players like that, like that UD, drawing charges. Mike Miller could hardly walk, friggin' diving for every loose ball. He has a friggin' messed up ankle, hitting 6 threes in the final. Like those are guys that like you rarely find, those true
Nah,
like freaking gritty freaking yeah he culture type of guys. So I can't wait to watch him. Honestly, that's like the number one guy. It's funny. I know most people will be like, oh, Clayton, obviously,
yeah,
you want him for your team. He's gonna be a lottery pick. But me, I just have that heat culture mindset. I want to watch freaking Richards. Yeah, like do those little
definitely,
things that really make the difference. In a championship game.
definitely.
Not
Another guy you might want to watch then might be Alex Condon.
okay.
He's pretty good too. He had a messed up ankle the other day and he was still like diving on the floor and
Oh man,
like still
I love it. All right, so we still have some of that. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
no, there's still some of that. And then
okay.
I also want to shout out the FAU transfer, Elijah Martin. He was the first guy I noticed when I first started watching Florida.
Okay.
Definitely, definitely definitely a player to watch out for. And then I mentioned Crier for Houston.
Yeah.
Definitely a guy you have to watch out for. He's a guy. He's a lights out shooter. I think last game he went off. I don't know how many threes he hit. He hit like maybe like 4 or 5 threes, and he
Yeah.
was just going off. There was like no, he was not missing at all. And
Gotcha.
then like he's a senior, but I think he's a guy that NBA teams should be looking for when they maybe towards the end of the first round, somewhere in the second round. You want a guy who can shoot. That's definitely a guy. A D and three, a 3 and D type of player.
Oh, I love that.
That's the guy you want to look for.
A little
And the
sneaky
other,
option as an undrafted, another undrafted guy to bring into
yeah,
Miami. No, sorry, everything just goes back to the Heat for me. But yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
know. Other guy, I think they should you to look out for. I mentioned his name a couple of times. Emmanuel Sharp. You
Okay,
know, he can go. He can start getting hot at any moment. I don't think he's quite as good as the other guys that I mentioned, but he's more of a quiet guy
yeah,
that can go off. And if if you get him going,
no,
uh, I forgot his first name, but Uzan is
okay,
another guy you may want to look for. Um, what was his name? Jawan Roberts is their center.
yeah.
He's like a big bruiser, another defensive guy. A guy who's gonna protect your paint, the paint. I mean, uh, he might be a guy you see a couple times, but definitely Crier and Roberts are the guy you might want to look out for if you are Houston, or if you're watching for Houston.
Sounds awesome, man. No, I want this kind of random, but since I brought up Kelvin Sampson, I want to bring up the Gator coach. His name's Todd. What is it? Todd Golden.
Todd
So
Golden.
shout out to him too. Since I already shouted out Sampson, I'm like, yo, I gotta shout out the other coach. It's kind of random, but I just looked up. They're exactly 30 years apart. That's pretty cool. Like Golden is 39 years old, which is insane. Super young. And then Sampson is 69 years old, so they're literally 30 years apart. How cool is that, bro? I feel like you could only see that in sports.
Yeah, for real. You have a really young head coach versus the experienced head coach who's been there, he's done that. And I feel like, oh, that's another thing I kind of want to mention real quick. That I feel like this Florida team kind of feeds off of his energy because he's like a really intense guy.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, like you wouldn't notice it like when you see him at first, but then when you see there's he wants to argue for a foul,
Oh
he's
damn.
like right there, like he's like he's arguing with the refs.
That's hilarious. Okay. So
Yeah,
they like feed off of that, right? They probably get pumped up from that.
yeah, I think they feed off of that. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Dan Hurley, that he's like super
Oh,
intense.
damn! Not it's worked out for Hurley for sure. So
Yeah,
maybe that's like a recipe for success now, in college basketball. Because damn,
definitely.
like Hurley screams like his ass off, but man, he's incredible as a coach. So that's
Yeah,
amazing.
he does. I gotta you gotta have a I have a lot of respect for those two guys though. All three of those guys actually. Yeah, and it's funny because Todd Golden is actually he's just like LeBron's and he's already coaching, so it's like kind of funny.
Nah, that's freaking wild for sure.
Yeah.
But he's Al Golden's son, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like the old cut. Nah, I'm playing around. Sorry. Nah, I'm glad I'm mixing some comedy. At least I'm contributing. You're doing the knowledge of basketball. I gotta add like something in. I don't know. Sorry.
Bro,
But yeah,
it's all good.
that's
Don't
Al
worry.
Golden's son, and we're proud of him. As fans, and to see his son. Sorry. Oh man. Nah. It's like midnight. On Monday. So I'm just I don't know.
Yeah.
We're making
Bro,
comedy. It's not about
we're
basketball.
all fried.
It's all about comedy, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Bro, it's all good.
the
It's all good. We're all fried in our own ways.
Amen. I tell people that all the time. We're all fried in our own ways. That's what makes us unique. You get me?
Bro, facts.
Like I'm talking about Al Golden and Heat culture and yeah.
Yeah,
We're
man.
previewing a college basketball, championship game. But
Yeah, man.
like you said, we're all special in our own way. But yeah, no, to make it even more special, this is even more random. But like for you guys watching on YouTube, I just want to shout out this girl really quick. I saw a comedy show Sunday night. This is Ariel Elias. That's her name. You can follow her at Ariel underscore comedy. She was like the opening act. I went to go see Melissa Villaseñor. She was from Saturday Night Live, and yeah, I had never heard of Ariel, and I became a huge fan. And I said, might as well, I bought. She was selling these koozies. For those of you watching here on YouTube, and yeah, make sure to go follow her. So I know that's kind of random for this episode, but it was super cool to like find out about her. She was super nice, so why not give her a shout out? But yeah, okay. So now to get back to basketball. Um, um, so yeah, bro. I don't know. Yeah, anything else you want to mention or about this game?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a really good game. It's gonna be really fun. You know, and we'll see what happens. We're gonna see a few future NBA players. Definitely, like maybe two or three.
Me?
But it's definitely gonna be a. I think it's definitely gonna be a fun game. We're gonna see a lot of diving on the floors. We're gonna see a lot of threes. We're gonna see a lot of coaches screaming at the refs, and you know,
Let's
I
freaking
can't
out.
wait to see it.
Let's go, bro. Nah,
And
I'm
it's
pumped up.
literally tomorrow.
I know. Let's freaking go. Once again, 8:50 p.m. Eastern time on CBS and Paramount Plus. And hopefully we'll see. Hopefully I could bring Jerry back on, and we could do like a recap, right, of this game. Because
Definitely.
imagine if the preview was exciting. Imagine a recap. Um, it should be a lot of fun. A recap like a great championship game. So, but yeah, no. With all that said, yeah. Once again, Jerry, bro, thanks for joining us today, man, to preview this game. And no, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to keep up with us on Instagram and TikTok at the flame_es. No, yeah, subscribe. On Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Share it with any person who's a college basketball fan. Anyone who's intrigued about who's gonna watch this game, let's say, and hasn't watched the tournament. They're gonna gain a lot of knowledge from Jerry. And yeah, man. Nah, thanks again for coming on the show, bro.
Nah, thanks for having me on, bro.
Nah, of course. But yeah, guys, with all that said, enjoy the game. Once again, good luck and congrats to the Gators and to the Cougars. And yeah, to our boy Paul. And then, yeah, till next time, everyone, take care. Yeah.